Uganda. Good evening and welcome to the show On the Spot. I'm your host, Patrick Amara. The region is observing a high degree of alertness in the wake of the Mpeketoni attack in Kenya that claimed over 60 people. Whereas the Al-Shabaab terrorist group has claimed responsibility, the Kenyan president is blaming the killings on local political rivalry. When Kenya faces such large-scale assault, does it mean that Uganda could also be vulnerable? Are the security organizations in Uganda ready to avert any potential threats to the country? Are the Ugandan people taking precautionary measures during this World Cup Soccer Festival? My guests tonight are the Assistant Police Commissioner in charge of Press and Public Relations, Fred Enanga, and from Pinnacle Group, Moses Masiko, the chairman himself. Good evening, gentlemen, and Moses and Fred, welcome to the show. Both of you are on the spot, which is rare to have two people. But because of rare situations, here we are. We know what is happening, Moses and Fred, in the region. Kenya was under attack, 60 people have died. And is the Ugandan police, for example, coordinating with your Kenyan counterparts to be on the top of the situation? What is it that you're doing so that what has happened across the border does not come to Uganda?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick, and to our dear viewers. Good evening. Yeah, Patrick, you're aware that the Uganda police jointly coordinates security management in this country together with the other sister security agencies, of course. We always have the UPDF on board, CMI, ESO, and the private security organizations who are all stakeholders. It's quite unfortunate, of course, when we see what is happening in the neighboring country, because it directly affects us, the Ugandans, directly and indirectly, because of the ties that we have with them. But Uganda, just like Kenya and the other countries in the East African bloc, have been, of course, receiving all sorts of threats, of course, from mainly the Al-Shabaab because of our involvement in the Somali region. You remember it's something that they had actually dominated, and we are even now recruiting massively in the East African region. And of course, because of our involvement there and the level that we pacified that country, they have not taken it well, and they really want to cause as much collateral damage as they can onto the partners that have really played a great role in Somalia. But it was not only that, because we, the security agencies in Uganda, have been carrying out a lot of counterintelligence and counterterrorism intelligence measures following the 2010 bombings. We've never taken that easily.
Just the other day, information came from police and the military that 2 pickups with Kenyan registration numbers had entered Uganda and carrying allegedly Al-Shabaab terrorists. And these pickups disappeared within the Ugandan borders. How again do you tell the Ugandan people that they could be safe? And how can just the whole 2 pickups disappear?
Actually, they were the information, the intelligence that we got. You know, with intelligence, you don't undermine any form of information you get. Remember, this information came on the 2nd of this month, on the eve of the Namugongo Matters celebration. And it came late evening, and we needed to act on it very fast. Actually, it was not talking about 2 pickups. It was talking about 4 land cruisers, which were suspected laden with explosives and suspected to have gained entry into this country. So, of course, like our counterterrorism units had really to work on that information very, very fast on that eve and alert all our border points, all our security units, all our crime preventers and informants on the ground that this is information which is being processed, of course, but you really need to act on it. And when we cross-checked with all our gazetted points on the eastern side of this country, we verified, and there was not anything.
So that was a hoax?
Of course, it's usually created to cause panic and terror.
Created by the police? Created by you as the police also?
No, by all sorts of distractors, of course. People who want to detract and cause panic in society. You know, you don't think that everybody will like Uganda to remain as peaceful as it is.
Okay, let me bring in Moses. You're from the private security organization. You're effectively playing a role of helping also prevent terrorism and all this. But there's a problem of people say you don't have capacity to train your own officers. Your security personnel, they are paid peanuts. And quite often some have even left the guns at their place of work or even joined into the robbery. Are these private security organizations really, can we believe that they can do some work, especially given those 2 or 3 factors I'm giving you: lack of training, poor pay, and all that?
Thank you, Patrick, and good evening, viewers. Patrick, those are very serious concerns. First and foremost, I'd like to extend our deepest condolences to the Kenyans that were attacked and lost their lives in the attack. Secondly, to get to your point, Patrick, is the private security industry in this country and in the region in general is still not the best in terms of paying. But I want to disagree that it's the worst either. I look at the level of unemployment in the region. I look at the kind of work my people do. First of all, it's a very important job. And I like to appeal to the public that private security people out there, since you entrust them with life and property, it is also important that you treat them with a high dignity. And most people in Uganda, I am glad, are doing so. But look at a person who works as a laborer, for example, in Chikubo. In a day, he carries on his head or shoulders over 2 tons of worth of goods that he carries from one station to the other. His pay at the end of the day could be 10,000, maybe 5,000 shillings. That's gross. At the end of the month, if he has saved anything, he will save not more than 50,000. An average guard in Uganda earns about 150,000. So while I agree with everybody that yes, the pay issue has got to be looked into, I say that this should not be a distraction or a disorientation on guards working vis-a-vis their payment. But coming to the subject...
Can they be compromised just because of that? 150,000 shillings is peanuts. In a city like Kampala, that is very expensive. The cost of living is so high. And of course, the economy is also weak as it is. But these people, when they have weapons of war, they could be compromised. Could that be the entry point where somebody will come in and find a link and cause havoc in this city?
That's correct, Patrick. Some individuals within the industry can be compromised, but that's straightforward indiscipline. Because what happens is private security, like any other organized industry, has got its tenets. We have our tailored training. We have oaths that individuals take and certain undertakings. And for me, I hesitantly agree with anybody that says because somebody doesn't earn much, they will use their weapon to just do something that is criminal. I think those would, in anywhere, not even without, in private security industry, they would have a criminal mind.
When we have so many mushrooming private security companies, doesn't that indicate a failure of the security system of a country? Because they think the police is not going to offer it. They think there's a lot of insecurity within, and everybody wants to have their own private security. What is your analysis of that? That you have so many of you. Doesn't that say Uganda has a problem?
Well, I wouldn't entirely agree with that. I think, you know, some scholars, some theories in the region have attributed the low crime rate in Uganda to both public and private security, and in terms of numbers. But with proper regulation, and I'd like to thank the Internal Affairs and the police, there has been streamlining in terms of background checking, vetting, before a license is given out to operate a private security firm. So I think, yes, there are challenges. It's work in progress, but I wouldn't exactly relate the number of security guards to the vulnerability of anything criminal within the industry.
Fred,
Yep.
the police has been targeted. We have found your own men cannot provide security for themselves. And I'm going to give you an example. Just last night, a DPC in Mubende was attacked. And I'm talking about the district police commander. And before that, in Namayingo, a police officer was hacked to death within a police post. In Kibuli, a police officer was killed within the barracks. Before that, a police detective is killed at the gates of his home. If you cannot provide security to your own, how can Ugandans believe in you?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. I can't take it that, of course, we've actually failed to provide security for ourselves.
I'm giving you a chronology of things. In fact, there could be a pattern here.
You will always
They are
have
finishing your men.
No, Patrick, you'll always have such attacks as isolated incidents. How many barracks do we have in this country? And how many of our policemen do we have? We have 40,000, and you're talking about 4 incidents. That does not generalize the whole situation. And what I'm actually saying is that these are attacks that are targeting individuals for various reasons, of course. Like, yes, somebody may target the DPC, but of course, you know, the DPC, of course, is the head of the police in a district. And yes, he will carry out policing, which affects a lot of people. And people really have the way that they handle personal issues. Why is it that it was the DPC who was targeted? The issue that you're talking about in Zambia has how many? About 3,000 people. And this is one person who finds himself in the same house with the victim. And how does he really get there?
Yeah, but
we can't generalize.
Isn't that the issue? If in a 3,000 you know, community of officers and men of the UPD of the police, and somebody infiltrates and kills one of your own.
Yes, we are saying that
it shows a degree of laxity
yes,
in the police.
it does not show that.
If somebody in Namayingo at the police post,
I really can't agree with that. I'm saying there are various reasons, of course, for which people do attack others. It's not only the police, even the society generally. We are having incidents where people are attacked. We've had people in your field, journalists have been attacked. Should we say there's a weakness in your sector? It's not that. These are general crimes, of course, that will always happen. But we are saying that, yes, if you look at the situation of Zambia, it's a very big barracks. It's neighboring various residential areas. We have all sorts of visitors who come to join the over 3,000 policemen. And the circumstances, yes, they are being investigated. We are saying these are people who found themselves in the same house from 10 p.m. up to 3 a.m. that the incident happened. How do you monitor what is happening in somebody's house? Okay, it was like a visitor. And now what even happened in Mubende? Yes, there's a security breach, of course, but there are a lot of happenings that take place during the night. You can't provide a perimeter for a barracks like that deep night. And you know, yes, they are porous because of, in terms of logistics, you can't fence. These are huge barracks and so on and so on. There are breaches which will always be there. But we are saying that it does not show a weakness. Okay? Okay,
we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to point out the weakness and the laxity that I've seen with the police. With an example of what happened at the Parliament of Uganda, where 2 pigs or piglets found themselves within the chambers, almost within the chambers of the Parliament. That could have been a biological weapon or something worse. We'll be right back.
Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night, where you get 1 GB of data from as low as 2,500 shillings. So you can download movies, video games, heavy files, video conference, catch soccer online at the lowest prices and the fastest speeds on the market. And do all you have always wanted to do with Happy Hour day and night. Another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy Hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Hezekiah Walker and the Love Fellowship Choir are coming to Kampala June 27th. Also in concert, Exodus, Judith Baberier, and Romeo Adong, live at the New Liberty Worship Center International Lugala. Tickets are $150,000, $50,000, and $30,000. On sale at all Payway outlets and the Liberty Worship Center. Call 077-256-9708. Also join us at our special charity meet and greet dinner for cancer treatment, Thursday, June 26th at the Speak Resort. Tickets $200,000. That's June 27th. Hezekiah Walker.
On the next episode, brought to you by...
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you Happy Hour day and night.
Mmese yatemu omulango gwa moto omumanyi omukazi w'ekyazanga omukadde.
NTV Corner Miles Ramiti
Agenda gwedda
tubaletedde lutalo oli wakati wa Amarula family.
Amoto mujja watudde kulya mayirungi.
Ani mutuufu buli omu awanira omuliro.
N'amoto kyenkusaba oddemu Amarula naye
bonna bonna tubalese eno ku Lukutano ssaawa 4 n'ekitundu.
n'omugenzi Paddo bw'ato bwe yali.
Ngeri emu
onzonziza mazemu n'omusaayi
agenda kubatulira akakikaaliko
kona ontambuza ndi mugumu
twegatteko ng'owangula ssente n'ebirabo tomoni kasita obeera ng'oteebereza oluyimba tugenda obanga tuzanyira audio ejja kuba ogamba weewangula ekirabo ebyekabi byonna ku NTV Corner ssaawa 4 n'ekitundu Miles Wamiti twegatteko.
You can download movies at the lowest prices. Another fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy Hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Welcome back. You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guests tonight are Mr. Fred Nanga from the Uganda Police and Mr. Moses Masiko from Pinnacle Group. Fred, before we went to the break, I promised to point out for you the laxity that I have seen and their seriousness sometimes of the men that are supposed to protect us. Just the other day, 2 pigs, live ones.
Piglets, actually.
Piglets were delivered. By the way, whereas I don't mind for the the connotation of the whole thing, probably they wanted to express themselves, but the delivery mechanism showed us it could have been something worse. So you were exposed, sir. Your men were exposed, who are guarding the third arm of government right here.
Yeah, we do admit that there was a breach, actually. And but the people weren't aware, actually, that the security that we have at Parliament is multi-layered. Somebody may think that, yes, you can beat the outer detail, then through the main entrance, like they did, but then they didn't find their way into the inner precincts of Parliament.
The first ring and the second ring.
The outer and the main entrance, that's the first ring.
Yeah.
Okay? And they could have been, you know, but of course Parliament we have the best security detail for them, being VIPs, of course, and we've managed actually to manage the security there effectively for all this period. Now, the issue of the piglets, yes, we are looking at all the probably like the circumstances. Of course, somebody cannot just carry piglets into the parking yard of Parliament. We are looking at the possibility that probably somebody within the system could have really wanted at least to cause some scenario and cause damage, of course, to the security and even the members of Parliament. Okay. That is there. But we are also saying that it's a lesson also for us, and that has actually also helped us to really enhance this security.
It's giving you some kind of a shock therapy.
It really does.
You awakened you a bit.
It really does, we've carried out some disciplinary measures
Moses,
already.
Fred is saying that probably there could have been somebody who worked with them, and then these piglets were delivered to near close to the chambers.
He cannot actually work with us.
You are a private security person, and you understand these things. Sometimes these animals can be used as I've heard of, is it pig bombs?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, it's right that animals have been used. In fact, they've been widely used in terrorist attacks and in other different forms of warfare. But I like to support my brother Fred, and I'm glad it came from him. He's the best person to say that there could have been collaborative action for the piglets to get onto. I'll give an example. You know, these piglets can be carried in a spare tire, in a deflated spare tire, and then they get on the compound, the parking yard of the parliament, and then those that had cause to put it on the floor of the parliament can simply pick them from the deflated tire and put them on. You will be shocked if you know the lifeline of a piglet. It can actually breathe. It can stay without breathing for about 5 to 10 minutes. So it won't easily get suffocated. So there could be, but again, these are matters that need to be investigated by Fred.
Now you're putting it on another level.
And they are.
If there's such a vulnerability, if something can be carried in a spare tire, 1 or 2, and having 500 vehicles parking there, how much of TNT can be carried, concealed in different forms to get into that multi-billion-dollar kind of, I'm told, park?
But that's not the park, of course, we are talking about. This is the outer
Yes, but
and the other one is definitely...
Fred, I have seen people check vehicles. Rarely do they check, for example, the bonnet. Nobody will open there. Something can be concealed. Rarely will somebody check, if it is a Land Cruiser, just the chair in between the boot and the last chair behind, the rear. Nobody will look there. And there are so many areas. So people just do it as if they are ticking a box instead of thoroughly checking. I've seen it with the men in uniform and the private security.
Yeah, that is actually something that happens, but what I know is that it all amounts to the level of supervision. How is it that you do actually supervise your personnel? And also, on the other side, how is the level of vigilance on the side of the public that they can also allow to be just checked, I mean, narrowly like that, and then they allow for it to happen. So, this all comes about supervision, but as far as actually training is, all these basics are some things that we really take our officers through. And, you know, with the Ugandans, they have this perception about actually security threats. And yes, in the beginning, they will respond positively, like you've seen when we've given these alerts and what, everybody tries to correspond and so on. But barely 1-2 weeks, you find somebody getting less concerned because they have actually not felt the real threat.
And Fred, before you say that Ugandans, your own officers and men, this station, NTV, did an investigative story and carried a bag that was harmless, took it to the video hall, and nobody bothered. That is us Ugandans. We took it to a bar, and nobody bothered, and the bag was there. In fact, the only person who bothered picked it from the ground and put it on the chair. But hey, listen to this. They took it to the police station in Kira. It was taken through without even checking. And these are professional, trained people.
Yeah, that is
That would have taken an entire police station.
That was a good lesson, and I really credit NTV for bringing out these drills. And the way they did it was with precision. They took some time at Kira Road and waited for the police officer at the quarter guard to excuse himself, and then they came in with their cameras. But again, something funny also happened. that NTV, of course, didn't cover what happened at the cells. When the cells guard, of course, intercepted your journalist inside, and you didn't bring that out. And I was saying, why? Because you should be as balanced as possible. Yes, he was intercepted at the second stage, but that was not it. But of course, yes, at the entrance, they're supposed to be 2 or so, but the DPC had 1 person. And of course, NTV, with the smartness, you took advantage of that and you found your level. But we've always worked with you. And the journalists have always picked information from us. You people whom we've partnered with always, you keep coming to the station. And somebody will think that, yes, this is a journalist who is going to the DPC or so and so to go and pick information.
Okay. Fred, Moses, isn't that the real threat of when you get, you start, you know, to acclimatize yourself with somebody and you think you know, and yet the person you know could be the guy who's going to take your life the next day.
Yeah.
So as a private security person, how do you tell, what do you tell Ugandans? And how can Fred even say, because they are used, these faces are used? There's nothing getting used with somebody in security.
Yes.
What do you say?
Patrick, maybe before I answer that, let me get a little bit deep into terrorism warfare. It's a kind of warfare that is very new to both the East Africans, as Ugandans and the East Africans. Now, how is it fought? To the best of some contemporary literature that has been put out there, it does not have, there is no silver bullet for terrorism. There is no one shot, this is a checkpoint, a terrorist should not make it through there. First, everybody has to be concerned. And I put this to Ugandans, I put this to the East Africans, that the vigilance, the responsibility and role of vigilance is up to everybody. Now, let me come back to our real operators, both private and public security. Again, I want to agree with Fred that they are precise, isolated cases that will always put us to shame. But again, a new warfare, we're improving every day, police is training every day, our guards are being equipped with a lot of information. There's a lot of workshops going on that are corroborated with by the police to teach the guards all the tactics that a terrorist can use. And therefore, I'd like to say, to assure, you know, Ugandans and the East Africans that it is difficult, but yes, an attempt to get to a comprehensive solution to this kind of warfare is in progress.
Are we, Moses, seeing a new wave of terrorism coming to East Africa, like what we have seen in Mpeketoni in Kenya, and then, of course, similar things have been happening in Somalia. We've seen even further afield in the Middle East, almost the whole of the Iraq nation is consumed in another form of terror. What is happening?
Yeah, what is happening is that there is transition of tactics. They used the kind of terrorists that was, everybody used to know, was either a suicide bomber or somebody who would come with a bomb built in a car. But now, because of security measures that have been put in place, the vigilance of the whole population, because if you look at the growth of terrorism as a warfare, part of it is because of those that are financing it for their own reasons. But the second one is that previously there has been lack of collective global fight against terrorism. It was a kind of radical war that people used to say, no, this thing is for Yemen, this thing is for Iraq. Now everybody has woken up. Now, the terrorists, on the other hand, are swift to change their tactics. And as they change their tactics, they put a very huge challenge to Fred and myself. And that is why I am very hesitant to blame Fred or my own guards when they don't do the things. Of course, the task is ours, but I also said that the task is everybody's, to ensure that, first of all, you are vigilant to anything and everything. The Americans have a good saying. They say, if you see it, say it. Therefore, if you are anywhere in your chibanda, in your shopping mall, and you see anything that is suspicious, please say it, report it to the nearest authority. And that way, that will be the collective effort I am appealing to the public and everyone put into action, and then we can see a thorough fight to this kind of warfare.
Haven't you seen the Uganda police, sometimes when they are trying to disperse demonstrations in this town with their anti-riot gear, sometimes you find a policeman looking like a gladiator. Isn't that some form of state terrorism?
Well, Patrick, I think that is that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, but isn't it?
Law enforcement, as an industry, and the army, both in history and even in developed countries, have used gear, proper kit, because they are also at risk. If you look at people who are there to query, for example, a riot, they can be stoned. They're usually stoned. They're usually assaulted. They're beaten up. So shouldn't they have proper kit just because of the job they're going to do? It's going to make, kit is going to make them look like gladiators. I think we need to zero down this argument to the character of how is, for example, the riot queried. How has either public or private security improved from yesterday to today? I think it is very important if we study that trend, then we can get, there can be public trust, there can be an appreciation that, yes, things are getting better. I think that is the angle that we need to concentrate and look into, to have a better judgment of what is happening in our
Hold
country.
on to your point, you're going to take a break. When we come back, I just want to know, how can community policing help prevent some of these terrorist activities, given the kind of image that police may have? We'll be right back.
%33% of women are in local government councils, and there are high girl-child dropout rates in schools. Women don't benefit from their labor in the agriculture sector. Women and equal opportunities in Uganda. Let us discuss in a live talk show this Saturday at 5 p.m.
Tomorrow night.
Aren't you going to kiss me? How can you leave after what happened? That woman humiliated me in front of everyone at the club. She made me feel very bad.
Tomorrow night.
Welcome back. You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Amar. My guests tonight are Mr. Fred Enanga from the Uganda Police and Moses Masiko from Pinnacle Group. Fred, there's something good that I've had the IGP put emphasis on, something called community policing, where you have to work with Ugandans to prevent crime or even maybe identify potential areas that are bad and then nip crime in the bud. But how would you work with the people, especially when your image, sometimes your image is problematic?
Patrick, you really like moving to the extreme. But there's, I think the Ugandan population really has very good belief in its police. The fact that really we've maintained rule of law and held this country together, and the fact that it is not like the other failed states. Yeah, people should really give credit to the police, because if you see in other countries where the police has failed, there's a lot of division, warlords, and militarism taking place. So for us to have the citizens really together in the country as one is really something credible. However, when you bring in the issue of community policing, Yes, this is a new policing model that has been in for some time, and it has been highly embraced by the population. We have a lot of crime preventers that have really opened up associations, and a lot of schools, tertiary institutions, and everybody is actually embracing this and working very, very closely and in partnership with the police to identify all sorts of security needs that they have. We are getting a lot of calls from the public telling us, you see, we need a police post here. We need a new aid post here. And we are opening it, and they are offering accommodation to, at least for the beginning, accommodate the police, and they facilitate us with all sorts of information and so on.
Let us try to involve some Ugandans. There are people watching tonight and would like maybe to ask you questions or make their own comments. I have, let me take the very first caller online. Hello?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ahmed.
Yes, Ahmed.
And I'm calling from Zambia.
All right, go right ahead, Ahmed.
Regarding the security issues, I think the police and other private organizations need to improve on their checkings. 'Cause sometimes you go to any, let me say, like a shopping mall, and the security guards will just wind down your window. They check just in the front, and they'll tell you you can proceed. They never check under the seats. They cannot check the boot, not even open the hood, the bonnet in front. If there's any bomber coming into the shopping mall or any other public place, they can put these bombs where it's unexpected to be.
Okay.
And maybe something else I would like to talk to the police officer, Fande. There is something else as the police, because you're supposed to keep law and order. So I think also the Ugandans are getting out of hand. Maybe they are bloodthirsty or something. You need to do something about the bloodshedding, the mob justice.
Mob justice.
It's gone way out of hand. So I think you need to really, really work on that, because even though someone has stolen something, but they still have the right to leave. They shouldn't be killed, judged right there and then. They need to be judged in the right, in the right way, not to be judged by the public. The police sometimes they take things so easy.
Thank you.
They've come to rescue someone, and people still continue to beat up that person until they kill him.
Thank you, sir. You've made your point, and your point is taken. Let me just take one more caller, and then or two, and then we'll get back here. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm called Alan. I'm calling from Kansanga.
Kansanga, go right ahead, sir.
I'm called Alan.
Yes.
No, mine is simple. I want to go straight on the police. Police in Uganda is like really professional.
Hello, Alan.
And in most cases, I've been to places and I see they like checked.
Okay, Alan, I cannot hear you. I think there's a problem there. So I'm sorry. I'm going to drop that line so that I can pick another one. Hello? Hello? I have a call online. Hello? Okay, looks like that one is not responding. Let me just pick just one more. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, good evening. This is Ambrose calling
Good evening,
from
sir.
Burenga. Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on air. Go right ahead.
This is Ambrose calling from Burenga.
Andrew in Bulenga, go right ahead.
Yes, there is one thing I've observed, and I'm actually telling Mr. Inanga to just inform his men. You go with a man, maybe you are entering into a supermarket or these other public places. They only check you, the man. and they leave the woman to go. So sometimes I even ask these security officers that, now, what if I had a bomb and I gave it this woman because I know the woman would not be checked? They just off.
All right. Okay.
So that.
Thank you. All right. Maybe you had more, and then after, Moses could also respond.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the callers for making these concerns and raising them. Yeah, it is Ambrose, actually. Let me start with his. Actually, where security has reached these days, it's not solely in the hands of the police. That's why you see even in most of these developed countries, each and every business is actually investing in security heavily, something which our Ugandans have actually not embraced. But if you see some of the established companies and organizations that are really coming up have actually invested heavily in security and having systems in place, having the right security guards who are actually very, very capable of doing their work. And the public still really has this mentality that it is the police to actually do everything for them. But we're saying we have to get to really work together, because you can't have about 40,000 policemen covering something like 38 million people. And this. So that is why we encourage that, yes, we really need to work together. Even Ambrose himself has a role to play as far as security is concerned. If it is true that, yes, he met these people at the supermarket and somebody was really, exhibiting laxity and negligence, what did he do as Ambrose? Why didn't he engage the supervisors? Why didn't he engage the management to really get to tell them? Yeah,
because it is also his own safety.
It's also his own safety.
And own security.
And he shouldn't even have entered the supermarket in the first place. Then
put himself at risk.
Exactly. So that these people can realize that I think we are missing business. If you can see, I don't want to mention some of these complexes that are around that have really put in very, very good, and you can see that they are conducting very, very good business because the public is assured of their security in entering the place, and they're assured of their safety and can conduct business.
And very quickly on the other two as well.
On the other two, yes, the issue of vigilance, which Sambia was raising, is the same thing, which is related to what I was saying. As regards issues of mob justice, of course, we have people who are actually militaristic and they have really taken the law in their hands. But really, this is why we are actually enhancing community policing, to get to let people know how rule of law actually has to. It's not true. It is not usually true that whoever is arrested is actually a criminal or was found wrongdoing. And I mean, if you take the law in your hands, then you may have an innocent.
But doesn't that also mean that sometimes criminals that are known have done heinous crimes, taken to police, and before know it, they are back? And doesn't that mean that people are losing some kind of confidence that if these ones go there, even justice won't be done? So they just resort their own kind of justice, which is so bad, but because they are frustrated with the services you have.
No, you know, it's not just the services, it's the whole criminal justice system. You have really to look at that. And also, when a case actually goes to court, you're seeing people, Ugandans are getting so busy these days that, of course, somebody wants a matter to be resolved there and then, and probably is compensated. And so we want to inculcate this system of accountability, whereby if a person has committed a crime, let him be seen through the whole criminal justice system.
Okay, Moses.
People don't want to go to court to testify, and we are saying why.
There was a caller who said, you enter a mall or a supermarket, you're two, maybe with your partner, they'll check the man and they leave the woman. Are we safe? Why does that happen? In fact, it happens quite often with the private security guards.
Yeah, Patrick, I heard that fair comment, I think, from Ambrose. I call it a fair comment because it's, first of all, if they say that everybody should be searched, then nobody should access such a facility when they are not searched. But there are also other technical components in as far as human search is concerned.
Ethical.
Ethical. Ethical. Thank you. For example, a man should not search a woman unless the circumstances are so dire and profound that if that does not happen, then you are in trouble. Now, we've had situations whereby a guard or a police officer says, look, I don't have a lady searcher here, so there are two things. I either will deny you access to this facility, or I am going to use my intuition and just let you in because I think you are not a harmful person. Now, that's debatable because, but again, if you look at security, because it's a concept, security is not just what we see and say. One of the things to fight this kind of warfare, which is terrorism, or to prevent it, is to be attentive, to look, to read the body language of people. Because, Patrick, I like to share with the viewers, I've had an experience. I've come into a very close contact with the terrorists outside the East African, in Iraq to be specific. And there's always something with these fellas. When they have something wrong on them, when they are approaching a checkpoint, believe me, something will happen to them. Either someone goes numb and they're looking at you. In other words, if you are attentive, yes, moment. He's not with you. He's either shaking or sweating, or you say stop, he can't hear it. It will take time. So I am saying that is not the end of the road. But if a security operator is highly attentive, one of the things, one of the tools that is going to help him to stop that bad person is how attentive and prepared is his mind. And for me, I think that can prevail over certain things like exemptions, like not wanting to touch on a woman and letting her go. Because if you look at her age, look at her body language, look at the kind of courage he's having. I mean, I would say that an attentive security person could exempt that person from. But having said that, I am not encouraging it. It's not right. There should be, at a checkpoint, there should be all the components that are required to manage a checkpoint.
The metal detectors and all this.
Exactly. At the same, on the same point, I want to appeal to the public. I've seen quite often people that don't want to be checked, either because of their status in society or because they think they are safe enough not to be checked. I want to appeal to all Ugandans and East Africans, please, please, just go through that checkpoint.
Maybe because your security guards do not look professional enough, and you see somebody is there all dust and sweating and all that, and is doing a full body search, and you think, okay, I don't think I'm going to offer myself to be searched by a person who doesn't look as professional.
Well, that could be one way of looking at it, but again, this is my concern. If you have that concern, there are other avenues that you can pass that concern, other than violating a checkpoint procedure.
Okay, our time is out. I'm going to give you a few seconds, Fred. Your parting shot, and then and Moses. What's your concluding remark on the short time?
Yeah, of course, the concluding remark is that terrorism is something that can be fought, and we, of course, as the police are saying, we really need to jointly concert efforts with all the, like we've been doing with all the sister agencies. We've been carrying out joint coordination programs. And I must say, it's not just by mistake that Uganda is not attacked. It is because of course, the security measures that we have. We've come up with a lot of alerts, and we have general measures that have helped to secure this country. And we are saying, but we can't be successful without the vigilance of the population. They're the ones to tell us. Because, these people will look for isolated places and where they cannot be noticed.
Thank you. So, your parting shot, Moses.
Yeah, thank you.
Patrick, my last remark is to, first of all, commend police and the public. I have seen a fundamental improvement in as far as vigilance is concerned. The other thing probably I need to add is that the public out there and everyone needs to understand why the terrorists are running and talking about attacking the World Cup. The idea is conceptual. If you attack anybody anywhere on the globe during the World Cup, you are attacking the world. So they want to be heard. The threat is here. It is real. So I advise and appeal to everybody, both public, private, and all the citizens of this region, to be very vigilant, to report anything suspicious, and to make sure that, to get to know that the responsibility of fighting this warfare is everyone's.
Thank you. Moses Enanga and Moses Masiko, thank you very much for coming here on The Spot tonight. And that brings us to the end of the next edition of On The Spot. Join us again next week when we bring you yet another edition of our program. Good night and God bless Uganda.